It was Halloween night, and the air was thick with the scent of caramel apples and fallen leaves. Claire was dressed as a witch, a simple costume she'd thrown together last minute. Her friends had talked her into going trick-or-treating, even though they were well past the age for it. They laughed and ran through the neighborhood, reliving the thrill of Halloween like kids once again. After an hour of collecting candy and giggles, her friends dared her to knock on the door of the old Victorian house at the end of Maple Street. It was known as the Haunted House around town, rumored to be cursed and abandoned for years. The house stood in darkness, its windows broken and overgrown vines clinging to the walls. "Go on, witch! Knock and claim your prize," her friend called, grinning mischievously. Claire rolled her eyes but approached the house. She rapped on the door 3 times, more out of amusement than expectation. She turned to go, but the door suddenly creaked open. Startled, she turned back and saw a young man standing in the dim entryway. He was dressed in old-fashioned clothes, like someone out of a different era, with a ghostly pale face and a gentle smile. "Trick or treat?" he asked, his voice soft but inviting. Treat?" Claire replied, a bit thrown off. His eyes had a warmth in them, a quiet sadness mixed with curiosity. He handed her a small, dusty box, beautifully wrapped in faded red ribbon. "A treat, then," he said. "But remember, some treats are only as sweet as the memories they hold." Confused, she took the box and glanced down. When she looked back up, he was gone, and the house was dark and silent once more. Her friends rushed over, laughing and teasing her about how spooky it was, but Claire barely heard them. Something about that young man had left an impression. She opened the box as they walked away, finding an antique locket inside, engraved with the initials EH. Inside, there was a faded photograph of a young woman who looked eerily like her, alongside the man she had just seen. Later that night, she did some research, discovering the house had once belonged to Edward and Helen, a couple separated by tragedy on Halloween night many decades ago. Rumor had it that Edward had gone out to buy Helen a gift but never returned, his spirit bound to the house ever since. As Claire held the locket, she couldn't shake the feeling that the man she'd seen was Edward, giving her a glimpse into a love lost to time. Each Halloween after that, Claire found herself returning to the old house, hoping for another glimpse of the mysterious stranger who had given her the locket. She never saw him again, but she'd always feel a warmth as she approached the door, as though someone was there, waiting, watching over her, and perhaps sharing one final Halloween treat from a love beyond the grave.